All right. So, guys, this article is by fundera.com, Fundera.com, and I'll have the link to this article below. So, very good article, 6 best medical practice loans for physicians. So, if you're a physician and you're searching for a loan to start your virtual medical practice, this is a great place to start. It's a pretty up-to-date article. So, as a brief overview, there are 6 sections. We're going to go over SBA loans. We're going to go over loans from a bank. We're going to go over non-bank loans, which are often called term loans, short-term loans, and business lines of credit, and equipment financing, which probably is not going to relate to most of us. So let's not go too far into the details of the background of this, like why do you need a loan as a entrepreneur. I do want to say that as a physician, one of the things to consider is you could always work for somebody else, right, and make money to fund your business. So that's called bootstrapping it. The problem is you're also not going to have a lot of time to spend on growing your virtual business. For that reason, a business line of credit or a business loan might be a great start. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, if you want to get an SBA loan, SBA loans is a small business association loan. It's probably one of the most popular things, and it is a bit strict. So trying to get a business loan is rather strict. The nice thing about it is you can get as much as several $1,000,000. The interest rates are incredibly low, as you can see here. Even now, it's only prime plus 2 or 3 up to 5%. And you can get funded pretty quickly once you have everything in order. You need a high credit score. You do need to have a good amount of income already from outside sources. Now, the downside is the long application process, an extensive underwriting process, because again, it is a very popular loan, but it is among the lowest interest rates loans to get. Most of us probably don't need an SBA loan unless you're starting a virtual practice where you also want to bring in a lot of people and it's going to be something quite extensive, in which case your business plan has to be very on point. The SBA requires you to have a very good business plan. So a traditional bank loan, so let's say you go to Wells Fargo or you go to US Bank, well, they have actually loans available for specifically physicians, and they're quite comfortable working with you if they know you have a lot of student loans, they know your credit's not going to be incredible. So they'll work with you, but it is still not easy to get. And if you're trying to get a loan very quickly in the next few months, it's probably unlikely because it's still going to be probably a 6-month underwriting process. But the good thing is the interest rates are low, and they, again, are very accustomed to working with medical professionals. So that's going to make things a lot easier. And they can take a look at your student loan debt and pretty much ignore it. So that's really good. And you can get a pretty good line of credit for these guys, up to, I think, $500,000. Now, term loans are the same as above, but they're offered by non-banks, meaning they're offered by companies like Funding Circle or Lending Club or Lending Circle. I think there's another one called Lending Circle. Anyway, it's very similar, but the problem is it's more expensive, and it's the same underwriting process as a bank. And basically, you have to show a business plan. You have to show what it is that you're trying to spend the money on. They give you a set term and a set amount of time and percentage that you're gonna have to pay the money back in. So less stringent than a bank loan for sure. That's why the interest rate is usually a little bit higher. Fairly fast application process, but before you can have access to the money, still takes a little bit of time. And they usually are also comfortable with overlooking your medical loans, or even if you've had a bad credit history, they're willing to overlook that. You can get up to $500,000, 6 months to 5 years. So sometimes it can be pretty short, but you can get up to 5 years. Not very long, very similar to bank loans. Unlike going back up to small business loans, guys, you can get 25 years to pay that back. So that's why they're so desirable. And finally, I'll say that the interest rates here can be a bit tough. Get 18%, 20%. Not likely. Usually we see it somewhere in the probably 14, 15, 17% range. Your credit score does not have to be great, but 620 is pretty good. All right, short-term loans. So this is basically when you're asking for it's often not a bank, it's an entity, and you need quick access to the money, meaning it's not a lot of money that you need, maybe $100,000. You need to get it done pretty quickly. The interest rates are usually going to be very high, but the application process is very fast. And they generally are not catering to physicians specifically. So you're going to have to go through a bit of an underwriting process. The nice thing is that you can get it for just 12 months. So you can get, again, short-term loans. You can pay back pretty fast. And interest rates are usually high. I mean, usually we see them in the 15 to 20% range. And you can get up to $500,000. And your credit score does not have to be very good, but you do have to show extensive documentation, as always. A business line of credit is nice because you can get a $100,000 line of credit and you only pay back the amount you use. So let's say you only use $10,000, you leave the $90,000, then you only pay interest rates on the $10,000. So that's really nice. Often done by many banks or even credit card companies. It's sort of called, it's referred to as a revolving line of credit, and it's very popular with physicians and dental practices. So they're pretty common. They're pretty accustomed to underwriting physicians. One Dick Capital is an example. They offer $6 to $100,000, 12-month APR about 30 to 65%. So you can imagine it's brutal. But again, if you desperately need a bit of money to get you going and you know what you're doing, it can make a lot of sense. And finally, again, equipment loan is really not going to apply. So summary, one more time, going to the top here, check out this article, Fundera, and you got the small business loan, which most of us probably don't need. A medical business loan from a bank is probably going to be great. A medical practice loan, non-bank term loans are also going to be really good. Short-term and business lines of credit, maybe a little bit less popular for us, but a business line of credit is something I would probably consider and can be quite useful when you're starting your own virtual medical practice.